Welcome back to Hot Rod Guy Garage. This has been another episode on 70 Torino and our budget 308 engine build. So follow me along through that intro and I'll be back. So, alright guys, so it has been a couple of weeks since I put the 308 in my 70 Torino. So there's a few things that we need to go in here and address. The engine runs great, it drives great, but there is a small issue that we need to take care of, and I'll flip that around and show it to you right now. If you go back to the video where we started this thing up, you heard the rocker arms hit the valve covers. Well, I also had a light clattering from the rocker arms. So what I've done here, I went ahead and pulled these rocker valve covers back off, and I come in here and I ground a little bit off the pedestals to take up some of the lash. So basically what I've done, the little pedestal that sits in the rocker that bolts down, I ground a little bit off of them. Real non-scientific, I just throw them with a flat disc. That's not the right way to do it at all. Just enough until it quietened down. Unfortunately, I still got a couple making a little bit of noise. I pulled them off about 3 or 4 times, ground on them a little bit more. It's a reoccurring problem, so to say. Right? So what we need to do, I started really examining these pedestals and the rocker arms when I got them off. And I'll show you guys here in just a second what I mean. So I'm going to pull a couple of these off. I'm going to put you guys on time lapse, and then I'll be back. So I got the rocker arms off, and the issue we're having, I don't know if you can see, is these pedestals. The rocker arm sits in here and it rocks back and forth, right? You can see our pedestals have some pretty significant wear in different ways than the wear before. And when I put this thing together, I didn't pay no attention to the direction of these oil grooves in relation to these rocker arms. And they're pretty well worn anyway, in both the push rod slot and the pedestal. So what it was doing, it was wearing down the groove in that rocker, and that's why I kept having noise issues. And you can see this one, I had ground it down. These are supposed to have a little step. That one's been ground, that one's been ground, that one, that one, that one. And all the way down to this one is the only one that was quiet. You can see the little, you could see the little step in it. A little step in it right there at the edge. So I took about, I don't know, 30 thousandths off of them. And that quietened it down. At least temporarily. So that led me to a crossroads. It definitely wasn't the lifter noise, it was definitely from the rockers. And it comes back. Mostly because the rocker arms are wearing as you run it. So the clearance opens up. The easy fix would have been to put a longer push rod in it. But we don't do things the easy way around here, and I actually ordered a set of roller rocker arms for it that are adjustable. So these are another set of pedestal mount rocker arms, but these have an adjuster. So what I'm hoping is I can get these things on there. I can adjust these individual cylinders one at a time, and what we'll end up with in the end is a quieter rocker arm. One concern I do have is these clearing my valve covers, and if they don't, it's too late now and we're going to have to do something else. But hopefully they will clear. These are a set of Speedmaster rocker arms, so we all know where those come from. And the crazy thing is, I've had better luck out of cheap rocker arms than I have out of name brands. If you remember back to our Cleveland where we had comp cam ones explode. I, however, have run a bunch of these cheaper ones and have never had an issue. And they're pretty nicely made. So guys, A lot of you ain't gonna like cheap rocker arms, but remember, this is a budget engine build series, basically. So we're putting budget rocker arms on it, which means the cheapest thing we could possibly buy that would work. So the easy thing to do here is we need to try to get these things on this engine and see if it actually corrects our issue. And hopefully our valve curves are clear, but that's not always a given. So what I'm going to start off doing is taking every one of these out of the box I'm going to use. I'm going to do this one side at a time. These rocker arms have a flat. The flat will go up, the round part go down. Use an Allen wrench to move this push rod cup all the way up. And I'm going to repeat that for one side rockers. But these are going to go in there just about like the factory ones. You got a little spacer right here that mates up to that and lets it locate in the pedestal. You're going to reuse the factory lineup bars, and these will go in there and they fit good and snug. There's no play. So these should be a pretty decent little bolt-on upgrade. I don't expect it to add any power, and don't care if it does. But at this point, I think they are worth a try. These things were roughly about double the cost of a set of longer push rods, and I would have still had to bought new rocker arms anyway. And I don't know if anybody's priced a set of replacement rocker arms lately. A set of stock style, but they're almost the same cost as buying these. So, and another thing, Speedmaster has started giving a 5-year warranty on this stuff. They did not send me these. I bought these out of my own pocket. It would be nice if a company would send me stuff like this, but they don't. So, most of the stuff you see on my channel, guys, comes out of my pocket, unless I say otherwise. So, I'm just going to run all these, like I said, I'm just going to run them all up right here, and I'll show you how to check push rod length with these. That's another neat thing about these rocker arms. They do come with a push rod measuring tool so that you can check that stuff. And that alone is a bonus. So let me get all these run out here. I've still got a couple to do, and then I'll be back. China. Yep. They have sent metric bolts to hold these into the cylinder heads. I just got back from about an hour round trip trying to find some bolts. Ace Hardware only had 3. So that'll at least let me show you guys on the video how to make sure that your push rods are right length for something like this. So let me flip it around and I'll show you guys. Alright, you're going to bolt your rocker arms down. You're going to clean any oil off this tip of this file down here. You're going to drop your flashlight like so. It's real important that you follow this to the T. You really need to drop your flashlight, guys. You're going to take a Sharpie marker and you're going to color then this valve. Just like so. You're going to take and bolt your rocker arm back down. Like so. You're going to make sure that you have close to 0 lash. And what that means is when this valve's all the way up and this one's down, you want to take and you want to see if you can spin this push rod. Since these lifters are pumped up, we can do this. And I'm just going to run this little adjuster nut down for now with my fingers. You're going to spin the motor over a few times. You're going to unplug the ignition on your solenoid. bump this back over until we're back at 0 lash. Now you're going to remove that rocker arm. And then you're going to pull this hot garbage off and put you a new set of stock rocker arms on it, because they're not going to work. Because they're pushing on the outside edge of the valve stems. And a lot of people would say, just put a shorter push rod in it. Shorter push rod ain't going to help, guys, when your pedestal itself is too tall. I'm not cutting no more pedestals. I've got quite a bit of money in these. I'm just going to send them back. Junk. Wrong bolts. Pedestals are too tall. We're just going to put a new set of factory rocker arms on this. Let's just make it easy, right? And see what happens. Because, you know, that's sometimes what you got to do. And I didn't have a new set of factory rocker arms, but I did have them two 4-cylinder boat motors that had big block Ford head on them. So those are a set of factory big block Ford 1.7 pedestal rocker arms. And believe it or not, they are in great shape. They have almost absolutely no wear. I put that one on 0 lash. It has absolutely no play in it whatsoever. So I'm going to clean up the rest of those. Let's get them back on there and we'll see what happens. Alright guys, so just to show you here. This is the factory rocker arm. You see it's worn pretty good down there. See how shiny it is down here? These are 1.7 big block rocker arms. See, they get a little shiny there in the center. But they don't really have a lot of wear at all. Little fulcrum right here. It's in good shape compared to the wear on this one. If anybody's curious, yes, the big block Ford rocker arms are a little bit different. These are a 1.7 ratio where these are a 1.6. So we'll gain about 30 thousandths of valve lift and a little more duration. That's not going to hurt anything. But they should bolt on and function correctly. So let's get them on there. And then you're going to spin it over a few times and notice that you still have quite a bit of valve lash with it at 0 lash. So the appropriate answer here would be to get the longer push rods. So that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. So, pile of wore out stock rocker arms, said junk Chinese rocker arms. Got that one side together. I got this side swapped out. Got them torqued, and I just went in there and oiled them with my assembly lube they use here at the house. So, I'll spin over a few times, make sure everything looks good. If we get the solenoid over there, then we get that valve cover put back on there, and we'll start this thing up and see what happens. I've got a real short temper for stuff that I give a bunch of money for that don't work or don't even bolt on in this case. We're just going to try them. You know, when I put them on initially before I spin it over, they don't have no lash. So technically they should be quiet when I start the engine up. But we're fixing to find out. So let's see if I should just use those in the first place. I've had them here around the garage for about 4 years now. And I've always talked about swapping big block 1.7 rocker arms onto a small block Ford. I actually gave another boy in town a set that he's never put on himself. So it looks like they'll work just fine from my initial fitments here. So, you know, time will tell how they'll work out. But so far, looks like it's just another pedestal Ford rocker arm that'll bolt on in a place of another Ford pedestal rocker arm. The advantage here, these have very, very, very little wear. That's a good thing about a boat engine. You know, they run about 3,000 RPM at a constant speed for, you know, amount of times. And generally, it's pretty light on wear on things. Unless somebody runs one lower oil or, you know, your oil gets contaminated. So, let me get this valve cover back on here, and I'll be back, guys. Well, I started it up, and yeah, we still got some rockers making some noise. Not near as bad as it did before, but we still got a couple making a little bit of noise, a little clattery. It does sound better. It does rev better. So at this point, I think I'm just going to order about a 50 thousandths longer push rod, because we don't have enough preload on those lifters. And since they just stuck a set of stock 5.0 Mustang push rods in this thing with those retrofit lifters, and believe it or not, guys, it's not a lifter noise. You can tell where the noise is coming from. It's definitely a rocker sound. So I am going to order a set of longer push rods, set of 50 thousandths longer push rods. So these got stock ones in them. I'm gonna go 50 thousandths longer. That should 100%. Because when I measured the lash on these, I had about 15 thousandths lash. I'm not gonna be able to get a 15 thousandths longer push rod. So I'm picking up tools. That's why I'm just kind of walking around. But not every day's winter, guys. And you know, you watch the videos, and I generally cut out all the bad stuff or stuff you fight with. This one I'm gonna leave it in it, just to kind of prove a point. And especially if Speedmaster don't respond, so to say. I did buy them off eBay from them directly, so I don't anticipate there being an issue getting this rocker arm deal addressed, if you know what I mean. So I'll let you know. I'll update it. If we get some more push rods, we'll put some push rods in it and see what happens. I was really hoping to go to the track tomorrow night. That's why I went ahead and put the big block Ford rocker arms in it. But, you know, sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. You know, so I'll be back, guys. Maybe something will change. Alright, so it's a couple days later, and I've sent those rocker arms back to Speedmaster. Wasn't no problem. Hopefully I get my money back when I receive them back. But in the meantime, I picked up some Trick Flow push rods in the 6.300 flavor, after some much deliberated research that seems to be the go-to with a B303 camshaft over a stock push rod. So hopefully these things will quiet this thing down. They're roughly, depending on the source, some say the factory push rods are 6.250, some say the factory push rods are 6.275. So it's anywhere between 25 to 50 thousandths longer than the factory push rods. And I do fully believe this has a set of stock HO roller push rods in it with those retrofit lifters, and that's what's giving us our problem. And I squared these up next to each other. You can actually see the length difference right there. So hopefully that'll give us a little preload and take away that lash that we had. So now all I gotta do is change all 16 push rods. Should go pretty quick. I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse. Let's get this thing put back together, see what happens. Hopefully it'll fix it. Alright, so I got one side done. All I got left to do is put the valve cover back on it, put the plug wires back on it. I did, however, find out that these are an aftermarket push rod. I know it won't focus and let you see the part number, but these are actually sealed power push rods, and they're 6.250 length, or these are 6.300. So I feel pretty confident now that these are going to fix our issue, because these are even shorter than the stock spec of 62.75 of a 5.0 Mustang. So as you can see, there is one factory one in there, and the rest of them have been replaced. And one thing I need to mention in this video, these 1.73 big block Ford pedestal rocker arms, the factory ratio is 1.6 to 1. The B303 camshaft in this engine is 480 lift. Adding the big block Ford rocker arms makes this camshaft a 519 lift or a 518, somewhere right in there. So you need to make sure, if you do this kind of swap, if you got a stock cam, I'll bolt right on. More than likely, you got a B303 cam, they're going to bolt right on. You're not going to have an issue. But if you got an F cam, an X cam, a Z cam, a trick flow stage 2, you need to be 100% sure that you have the correct piston valve clearance. I just stuck these on here and sent it. I don't have no issues. Everything's going to be fine. Generally, on a small block Ford, you can get away with about 540 lift before you start getting into piston and valve clearance issues, especially on a roller 5.0. But your mileage may vary, and make sure you check that when you put your engine together. Well guys, I think I'm ready to start this thing up. And you want to know what the best sound in the world is? No rocker arm noise. Yep, it's fixed. Sometimes the cheapest answer, guys, is literally the easiest fix. And I will say this. The reason why not all of them made noise the first time, and it kind of threw me for a loop, some of these factory push rods, as you can see, they're stained. Or about 25 thousandths longer than these. And when we put this motor together and I checked that one cylinder for preload, it had to be on a cylinder that had one of the original push rods. So, yeah, well, it's fixed. Which also means that I'm finished putting some miles on this thing and get it broke in. And maybe in a week or two, we'll take this thing to track to see how this old motor runs. And I know I hadn't updated anybody on how much the budget total cost on this Budget 308 was. But I've been working on adding it up in the background. I want to make sure it was 100%. And I'm not going to add things like my headers, because I already had those. I'm not going to add this Summit carburetor. If you're curious about the Summit carburetor, and I've had a few people mention it in a few comments, they are great mild performance carburetors. Or if you got a stock motor, you want to add 4-barrel to it, grab you one of these Summit carburetors. They're pretty much an updated version of the old Autolot 4100. They have manual boosters. They're super responsive, as you've seen in that last clip. They generally get decent fuel mileage, and with the updates, even from the old 4010 Holly series, which was the same thing, Summit has went in there and changed a few things yet again, and these carburetors are very, very good running carburetors. And an Edelbrock used to be a great go-to for a driver, and not a performance application. These Summit carburetors blow a regular old Edelbrock out of the water. I haven't had the fortunate chance to get hold of one of the VRSs. I can't afford one. They're about double what this Summit carburetor was, and since this is a budget deal and a driver kind of setup, I went with the Summit carburetor. So for a grand total of $1,590 in the budget 308. So roughly, you know, about 520 bucks over what we gave for the engine. To freshen this thing up, get a crankshaft in it. I forgot the crankshaft. Forgot to add the crankshaft. I just said it and forgot it. Which added another $300, guys. I know I said $200 in the previous video. I went back to eBay and checked what I actually gave for it. I offered them $250, but by the time you added the tax and the shipping in there, it come to $300. So we have a total of $1,890 in this budget 308. And to be honest, what I've drove it so far, even with it clattering, I can't complain about it. It's a good running little old engine. It's got plenty of power. Is it a giant powerhouse? No, it's not. I feel like it makes about 300, maybe 320 horsepower. Yes, I do. It runs very, very well. And when we get to the track and we get some of that track data, that's when we'll find out. So I know this video started out kind of rocky, but I feel a lot better now. And I wasn't real happy with the rocker arms. And as you guys know, I deal with a bunch of cheap Chinese stuff. I mean, generally, because it's what I can afford. And I'm usually generally up to modifying something. But something like those rocker arms, there's absolutely no reason to have to modify them. And I just recently seen another YouTuber had that said on his engine, I can only imagine how screwed up his valve train geometry is. So that said, guys, that's where I'm gonna leave this video off, and hopefully our next one, we'll take this thing to a car show, get out and drive it, you know, have a little fun, burn some tires off of it, and maybe we might go to drag strip. I don't know, we'll see. So until that next video, guys, I appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that like button, share these videos with your friends. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button, because it helps me bring you videos like this. If you are a subscriber, I greatly appreciate you guys, and I look forward to everybody's comments down below. So until next video, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.